Preterist school, the Historicist school, the Futurist school, and the Idealist school. And they each give you a different answer to the question, when are the predictions of Revelation taking place? When will they be fulfilled? The Preterist says that all the predictions in the book of Revelation were fulfilled at the end of the 1st century AD, or during the first few centuries AD, and that they are all descriptions of the fall. Now, are you writing it all down again, or just one by one? That the predictions were all fulfilled in the Roman Empire and the fall of the Roman Empire. And therefore they take Babylon, the city that falls in the book of Revelation, as the city of Rome. And certainly Rome was called Babylon by some Christians. The first letter of Peter finishes, "Those who are in Babylon salute you." And yet it was quite clearly written in Rome. Furthermore, it says Babylon is a city sitting on 7 hills. And it's obvious that Rome sits on 7 hills. And so this school says Babylon is Rome, and in fact all these predictions were fulfilled immediately following the 1st century AD. Therefore, the things predicted are nearly all past to us. You follow me in that? Babylon did fall. The Roman Empire fell. And the predictions in the middle chapters of Revelation are concerned with the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. And therefore, as far as we're concerned, we're reading history in this book. Now, have I made that clear? I'll try and take it very steadily so you can get it. The historicist takes the line that between chapter 4 and chapter 18, we have in fact the whole history of the last 2,000 years. That Revelation unfolds for us the entire church age between the first and the second coming of Christ. And that you can trace the past 2,000 years of history in these chapters and find out where you are today. And find out exactly where we are. In other words, that the whole book of Revelation covers the whole of history between the first and second coming of Christ, and each chapter takes us through the next few centuries, right up to the second coming. Here's a little book that I picked up. Studies in the Revelation, the Historicist Viewpoint. And just opening it at random, you know the first seal, the 7 seals, for example. It says seal number 1 covers the period 96 to 180 AD. Seal number 2, 183 to 212. Seal 3, 212 to 235, and so on. And that's come a bit nearer up to date, where we get to the 7 bowls. Let's try and find out where he thinks we are. The first bowl of wrath covers 1792 to 1794, namely the French Revolution. Second bowl, 1796 to 1801. Third bowl, 1796 to 1801 as well. Fourth bowl, 1805 to 1807. Fifth bowl, 1808 to 1815. Sixth bowl, 1820 to 1917. We'll get nearly where we are. We are in the middle of the 6th bowl of wrath. Now that's what's called the historicist point of view. I'll be looking at each of these in a moment, but it says that Revelation wasn't fulfilled in the 1st centuries AD, but through all the centuries AD. Now, having said that, there are 2 versions of it, and this gets a little complicated. The linear version of the historicist position says the whole thing just covers in one line from AD 100 to the second coming. But the cyclic version of it says that it keeps going back to the beginning and starting again, and that each series of 7 covers the whole period, so that in fact the book keeps going round in a cycle and starting again and covering the same period, so that there are in fact a number of series of visions covering the whole period. So the linear says there's just one account of the whole of the church age, but the cyclic says there are a number, and it keeps going back to the beginning, coming back to the present, going back to the beginning, coming back to the present. I don't know if any of you know the book by William Hendrickson called More Than Conquerors. That's the most popular selling book on the book of Revelation at the moment. And he takes the cyclical historicist position, so that in fact he says the book keeps recapitulating and keeps going back to the beginning, starting again. So you have a number of reviews of church history from different angles. You got it? The linear says there's only one review of church history. I'll just add now that the historicist I find totally unconvincing. But you'll come across books that say this. The futurist takes the line that the middle chapters of Revelation are still future to us and haven't happened yet. That's what the word futurist means. That in fact, those middle chapters describe the end of the age, the final few years of big trouble when history is at its worst, what's known as the Great Tribulation, that in fact all the predictions are squeezed into a comparatively few years right at the end of church history and just before Jesus gets back.